First things first, I want you to take your phone and I want you to flip it. That way you can see this in full screen mode. It's important that you do that, so flip it so that you can see it. This is the Operation Privacy Dashboard. You know how they're always talking about on some of the TikTok videos that you've seen, you're going to want to go and eliminate your data from the data brokers, and they'll talk about Spokeo or Google or some other data. One here, one there, one there. This is a really good free dashboard, and I'm going to do this in the story here so I can walk you through it. It's going to be longer, so these are for people that are interested in doing this. Operation Privacy. And as you can see, for the pricing, it's free for the conscious. It's also free for the serious, and you're going to get 30% more tasks unlocked when you get there. And if you went to the extreme level, it's $9 a year. And that's where you're going to have a bunch of different profiles and do all kinds of crazy stuff. But basically what I'm telling you is you're going to do everything in here in the free tier unless you want to go to the extreme tier. And it just depends. So start out with the free tier, okay? Then you're going to look at the about. It's going to tell you how this site is funded, where the money goes, that $9 if you choose to pay it or not. They're not using any ad trackers or sponsors or anything on the site. Then you've got the transparency, how the data is encrypted, what they're storing, what they're not storing. Really simple privacy policy, but really, really good. And then they've got an FAQ down here. So they're going to say, what do I get with the different tiers? How do you retain my data? Where does the money go? How long do you keep my information? Can I delete my information if I want to? And is it secure? So they're not storing anything on you. They're not selling it. What it's doing is taking a lot of the information from Michael Bazzell's workbook, that extreme privacy. So this awesome book right here, which is insane. I mean, if you followed all the stuff that was in this book, a bank wouldn't be able to verify you. You don't want to do that. So you're going to go through and you're going to log in. And if you don't have an account, no account yet, you can sign up. You just create a username and an independent password, no SSO. So this is separate. This is just on this website. And you don't have to tie an email to it as well. If you want notifications about task completion and things, you can. Otherwise, make a fake username and a fake password and have fun. So let's go ahead and log in because I actually do have an account here. And once you're logged in, you'll get to the dashboard here and you can see all the prerequisites, the privacy, your opt-outs along the side here, the extreme stuff, and where you are in the progress of doing things. So at first it's daunting. You're like, wow, that is a lot of tasks. There's 391 tasks in here and I'm not paying for it. So this is like the free and that conscious level, right? So when you start going through and you're looking at the prerequisites for freezes, what does a freeze mean? Well, if you click on any one of these here in these sections, these subsections, it will tell you. It'll give you the website that you're going to go to, which is if you click on it, you can see down in that lower left-hand corner where it's going to take you, and it will take you to each one of those sites in order to, guess what? Freeze your credit. And if you freeze your credit on Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, guess what? You're not that low-hanging fruit that people are looking to take advantage of when you get your credit breached and suddenly you have a loan out for something you didn't buy. So if you can freeze your credit just by doing these and going through these services here for free, very smart, very easy. Here you're able to go ahead and link to a profile on those. You can take a before and after screenshot, what it looked like before, what it looked like after. I would personally save all my PIN numbers and stuff in a password manager. Then you can show the date here. So you can say this is the date that I did some work on this. You can go ahead and check here if the task is completed or not. You've also got sections in here for notes. These are usually the numbers that you can call if you need to speak with a person. And then of course you've got this little thumb up and down, applicable or not. So if it's not applicable to you, you can unselect this and so this task goes away. And then this is the score weighting and the privacy score. So yeah, if you're going to go through the credit freeze stuff like this, you go through one by one meticulously. It's very easy, but it is one by one, and you start freezing your credit. You save those pins, and now when somebody who has all your information tries to get a car or a house in your name, let's say they have all that, they're not going to be able to fully run that credit check that they need to without that additional pin that they don't have because you froze your credit. and you actually should consider freezing your credit for your kids as well. So you're going to go through and you're going to look at all these different things and go one by one in a task list. And you probably haven't even heard of these, like Innovus and Checks and all these different kinds of things. They're smaller, SageStream, right? All these different places that can store your credit, you can go through and freeze credit. And we'll link to how to do that. The three biggest ones are your top three. And then you've got credit monitoring, right? So now you click on here and you go through the tasks for credit monitoring, right? Experian and Equifax and all these things. And let's be clear, some of these links, they should work, but they may not work. So just be aware of that, right? Most of them do work, some of them don't, but you still have the website you're supposed to go to and the idea of what you want to do. So you can get free credit reports. You can get a free annual credit report from each one of those bureaus, and it will cost you nothing to do, so that you can look at that credit report and make sure that everything on there is legit and it's what you want and should be there. So these are the places you're going to go for these credit reports. And then you've got businesses, right? So you've got all these different places that you can opt out or lock down some business, and then you've got reports. Then when you go to the OPSEC section, you can see, again, if you're clicking on these subtasks here, you're going to see an IRS IP PIN. I actually have that. And what that means is you need, every year, I have to get this new IRS IP PIN, totally independent. It's from the IRS, but it's independent, so that when I file my taxes online or wherever, I need that PIN to file my taxes. So if you have all my information, and let's say I'm getting a big refund, you're not getting a big refund because you're not going to have that PIN, because I have to put that in order to file the taxes. So that's sort of like 2FA for your taxes. Hardly anybody does it, but it is there. And then, of course, you've got different websites for privacy like Bitwarden and KeePass and ProtonMail, all these different tasks and things that you can do. You don't have to do them all. They're just there for you to take a look at and decide if these are things that you want to do. And then when you look down in the privacy subsection, you got simple login and Google Voice, right? So you need a SMS voice number that's not really tied to you, that kind of stuff. Privacy.com, that's a way that you can use credit cards online that are tied to a merchant. So it's like an ACH transaction through your bank, but it's tied to each merchant, meaning I can make a credit card when I go online and buy from this particular store, right? And it doesn't matter what name I use or address or anything. They don't really care. It looks like a credit card to them. I buy my stuff. They get breached one day. I get a note that so-and-so tried to buy something else with that credit card, but it doesn't work because it's not tied to the merchant. And that credit card, I can just close it instantly like that. Doesn't cost me anything. I don't know how many privacy.credit cards I've made right now. I've got lots. So when I buy things off of TikTok or places like that, I make a privacy.com card so my actual credit card doesn't get compromised. Think of it like a virtual card, but it doesn't cost you anything. Then you got NextDNS, TextNow, all these different things you can look at for privacy. And then data requests, which I've not gone through, but I've done some of the Apple account data. I was interested to see, what does Apple actually have on me? It takes a day or two, and you can download a big giant file of all the stuff they know about you and all the devices you've ever used in your entire life. And that'll go through all the different websites here, whether you want FBI or what the CIA has on you. I did not go through that, but it's there. You can go through data privacy now on this side, so software for like Proton VPNs, different VPN software that you can use, and full disk encryption, different browsers, whether you choose to use them. Phones, here's your different phones, iOS settings that you can do. Signal, which is a great, highly recommend end-to-end encrypted messaging system. Lockdown, I used to use that. I don't now. It's still valid. I've got Proton VPN. I do use that because I also use Proton Mail. It makes sense. So you've got a whole bunch of you've got a whole lot of choices here on the side. And some of these will say upgrade your plan. That is, again, if you want those additional features. I don't need that. I'm just looking at the freezes and the OPSEC, and you have to go through each one of these. And remember, you've got to get to about 30% task completion before some of these other ones open up for you. And you've got some data removals here. So there's some premium data removals. So here's your Spokeo that everyone's talking about. There's Redaris, there's Intellis, there's Axiom. There's a lot more data brokers out there than one. So if I remove myself from Spokeo, good for me. I'm still in a whole bunch of others and my data is still out there. And yeah, when you look down at this and you're like, that's a lot of places I have to go and do stuff. Yeah, unfortunately it is. But this is why this dashboard's nice, because it's a slow, methodical, task-based thing. And once you've done that task, you're out. And so it's a lot easier. And so when I started to do this, it took me, I would do a couple of tasks a day. It took me about 6 months, and most of my data is now removed. Now, the things I'm putting out there, I choose to put out there, but for the most part, I'm not out there as much as I was in the past, and that's by going through these things. And then you have extreme opt-outs like planting your flag, and again, that's a premium one for here, for this particular section. But basically that is making sure that you have IDs on places that you normally would not get, right? So you're planting your flag. Oh, I don't have a USPS Digest Daily, that whatever I signed up to see what mail is coming to my house. Well, you should plant that flag so that that account is already set in your name so somebody else can't do it for you. That's the idea of planting a flag. And so you've got all these different extreme things that you can do, right? So these are more of the paid stuff as you get towards the bottom. You've also got resources. So you got a lot of resources, website links in here for books and different places and why you should plant your flag. So you've got contributors and different ideas that you can read up about here. You've got all your tasks, your reoccurring tasks. So in a nutshell, if you're looking to remove yourself from data brokers, get those credit reports, have a more secure messaging, be more private at home, figure out what you can do on this phone to lock it down and be more safe and more secure, this dashboard, which is free except for that one premium $9 a year section, this dashboard will go through task by task by task and help you do that. Yes, you can pay for services that will do this, but all they really do is delete you from major data brokers and a lot smaller ones as they find it. But you're going to be paying a monthly or yearly subscription to do what you can basically do here. I've done both, and I find that just doing it here and removing it so I understand how my data is out there is a lot easier and a little bit more fun to do than just paying someone else to do it for me. But that's up to you. So take a look at Operation Privacy, log in, free account, don't have to use an email, and go through and see what it is that you're able to or you want to do, and start removing your data from places that you don't want it to be, and take away the data that you don't want to be sold, and get your credit reports for free and freeze your credit, all for free, all tracked.